Alright, so we're dealing with comparing fractions today. So for example, we talked about in class comparing 3/4 to 4/5. We know that this is going to be pretty close, and so if we need to compare these, it's difficult to compare fourths to fifths. And so what we need to do is we need to change these into common fractions so that we can compare them. So what we need to do is we need to find the least common denominator, the smallest number that both 4 and 5 go into, and we're going to change these fractions into common fractions so that we can compare them. So if I think about 4 and 5, I think about the least common denominator, the smallest number they both go into. 20 is the smallest number, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 20 beneath both these fractions. I'm going to say to myself, all right, well, how did I go from 4 to 20? I went times 5. So I have to do 3 times 5 on the top. How did I go from 5 to 20? I went times 4. So I have to go 4 times 4 on the top. And I noticed that 3/4 becomes 15/20, and 4/5 becomes 16/20. So the alligator eats the bigger fraction. So 4/5 is greater than 3/4. Let's take a look at another example. If we look at 3/5, we want to compare that to 2/3. Since we're dealing in fifths and thirds, that's tough to do, so we need to create a common fraction to compare these together. And so we're going to look at fifths and thirds, and we're going to come up with the least common denominator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 15 down here because that's the smallest number that both 3 and 15 go into evenly. Basically what I've done in my head is I've gone 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 5, 10, 15. Basically I've just done the multiples list, and the first one that's common to both of them is the number that I'm going to use. Alright, so I've got them in 15ths. Now I'm going to ask myself, how did I go from 5 to 15? Well, I went times 3, so whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top, so 3 times 3 is 9. How did I go from 3 to 15? I went times 5, so whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. 2 times 5 is 10/15. So you can see that 3/5 equals 9/15. 2/3 equals 10/15. 2/3 is greater. Alligator eats the bigger number.